Hello everybody. Today I'm going to go over the factors, how to fit in, and what organizational culture is all about. There's lots to unpack here. An organizational culture has many factors to consider within its many effects. So, first question you may ask is, what is organizational culture? Let's get into it. My name is Logan Bentley, and this is my presentation about organizational culture. Now, what is organizational culture? What is it? It is an organized culture, otherwise known as a company culture, that has three key points / elements for it to work. These 3 points / elements are values, beliefs, and behaviors. Values is the fundamental principles that guide an organization's decision-making and actions. Beliefs, shared assumptions about how the organization works and how things should be done. And finally, behaviors, the observable actions and practices of employees reflecting the organization's culture. So these are the 3 essential key points that are really, really important to this. Keep in mind these as we go on in this presentation. So let's keep going. All right. Why is organizational culture important to organizational effectiveness? Well then, as you can see here, there's assumptions, and then it turns into behaviors, and then results. Let me explain it more in depth. The assumptions of employees drive to behavior. The behavior is then collected from employees, and then it determines the final results. The final results measure and indicate strategic business objectives that have been overall achieved. That's why assumptions, behavior, then results. And then now on to the next slide, where we will learn about the internal factors. What are the factors affecting organizational culture? We'll go through internal, and then the next slide we'll go through external ones. There are many factors to an organizational culture that affect it overall. I already talked about the key points that I made before in the first slide, but I'll be going over these as well. I won't name every one of these factors, but it will be a lot of them to get a general understanding of an organized culture / work environment. So let's get into it, shall we? All right, first one, work environment. The physical space, technology, and overall atmosphere of the workplace can influence employee morale, productivity, and sense of belonging. This is really important. Leadership, another internal factor. The style and actions of leaders significantly impact the culture as they set the tone for employee behavior and expectations. Another one, organizational structure. The way an organization is structured can influence communication, decision-making, and collaboration, all of which affect culture. And then company values and policies. Keep in mind, we already gone through values, but this one also very important. The values a company espouses and policy it implements, and it shapes employee perceptions and behaviors. That one's a really big one. That's why it was on slide number 1. So that's why I said keep in mind. And then the final internal factor is employee engagement. The level of employee engagement and the quality of relationships within the organization play a crucial role in fostering a positive and productive culture. Now let's go on to the external ones. Competitor activity. The actions and strategies of competitors can influence an organization's culture, as it may need to adapt to remain competitive. You see this in many cultures, or many organizational cultures today, or companies. They always have to keep up with competition and make sure their business stays intact. And then one more external factor, technology. Technological advancements can impact how work is done and how employees interact, influencing the culture. Like computers. I'm using a computer right now. Computers help with work. This can help get work done. That is really important. Now, how to fit in with organizational culture helps. There's factors to fit in with an organizational culture. First factor is understanding / researching the culture. Second factor is aligning your behaviors. Third factor is actively participating in the culture. And last but not least, being open to learning and adapting to the culture. All right. In conclusion, organizational culture encompasses the shared values, beliefs, attitudes, and practices that characterize an organization and influence employee behavior and the overall workplace environment. I hope you enjoyed my presentation on organizational culture, and I hope you learned something today. My name is Logan Bentley. Thank you for listening.